This is Hannibal back here from the Hannibal TV on YouTube. I already did my Wrestling Observer newsletter review for this week. The link is in the description. But this week is the 2024 awards were revealed. And I know this is a big subject of discussion, and please put your opinions in the comments. I can't really remember if I've ever really reviewed these before, but let's do it. The 45th annual Wrestling Observer newsletter readership awards. So I guess these are based on the people that read these. For the record, I did not vote on these. I guess I wasn't paying enough attention. The awards are based on the time frame from January 1st to December 31st, 2024. Meltzer says these are the most covered mainstream international pro wrestling awards on a worldwide basis. So here he goes. The Lou Thez / Ric Flair Wrestler of the Year award they give to Cody Rhodes with 3,385 votes. The Mixed Martial Arts Most Valuable Fighter Award, Alex Pereira. And again, he's very popular in MMA. He's nowhere near the McGregor level. Your average person on the street does not know who he is, but UFC fans do. I'm not taking away anything from him other than, well, UFC is making more money than ever. It doesn't seem like they have the stars that they once did. John Jones is listed as number 2. Sean O'Malley is listed at number 4. Tom Aspinall is listed at number 7. Stipe Miocic is listed at number 10. I don't know the other fighters in the top 10, and I can't necessarily pronounce their names right, so I'm not going to say anymore. Most outstanding wrestler, they're saying, is Will Ospreay, 4,477. Again, if you want to go for a gymnastics approach to wrestling that is not based on realism, which is wrestling today for the most part, it's not the Bruiser Brody days anymore or the suspension of disbelief days. Those are the type of wrestlers I liked. To me, I'd rather watch an Ultimate Warrior or a Goldberg match than a Will Ospreay match or a Road Warriors match, because those are big, tough, larger than life guys that make me believe. A guy doing moves that look cooperative or leg slapping, that's just not my cup of tea at all. But this is being, I mean, Will Ospreay is, from what I've heard from Meltzer, and I don't have anything against him at all. I would say he seems to be by far Meltzer's favorite wrestler. Always puts him over. So there's no doubt why his viewers and readers would pick him as the most outstanding wrestler. Most outstanding fighter, they picked Alex Pereira, which I may be pronouncing wrong. Tag team of the year, the Young Bucks. Take that for what it's worth. Honestly, I don't think the Young Bucks made the most money of any tag team in history for 2024. So if you want to go by Hulk Hogan, what Hulk Hogan says, whoever makes the most money is the best wrestler. Give it to the Young Bucks. So I'm not, just because I honestly, they might be the most over tag team in wrestling. I'm not going to argue with that one, even though, again, I might not. I'm more of a fan of the Road Warriors and the Brodys and Hansons and the Demolitions of the world and the Powers of Pain. That's my style. But I'm not going to I don't have any issues with that selection because I don't know really of any other tag teams that are over. What were we going to say? Gallows and Anderson, who just got fired, who weren't even on the map really. So yeah, I'll give that to them. Best on interviews, Drew McIntyre. I don't know about that. They put Drew McIntyre 1, The Rock 2nd. I mean, I don't. The Rock is clearly great at interviews. Sometimes he's long-winded, but he brings electricity to wrestling. Adam Page, if Adam Page was so great, why is he not a big star? They're saying Will Ospreay's number 4, Adam Page is number 3, CM Punk number 5. I would not put honestly, I would not put and I'm just saying this neutrally because everyone knows I've never been the biggest supporter of CM Punk, but he has earned my respect over the years. I would put CM Punk above McIntyre, Adam Page, and Will Ospreay. I won't even get into the others because I don't agree with them. Promotion of the year. Saying WWE is the promotion of the year. I don't think anyone's going to argue with that. Best. Now here's something, and I can't sit through any of the shows. So I'm not like I managed to get through the first episode of Raw on Netflix and I did not like it. I watch stuff on YouTube. I cannot sit through a modern wrestling show. I'd rather watch an Attitude Era show from Nitro or Raw or an 80s. I'd rather watch an 80s superstar taping in all honesty than any of today's stuff. It's just not the wrestling that I like anymore. But the backstage stuff I'm still interested in. He says AEW Dynamite is the best show, which is hitting all-time lows on a weekly basis now. 3,424 people voted it's the best show. Maybe comparably it is. SmackDown was voted second best, 1,936. Raw was voted third best, 1,424. So since Collision and Rampage, which got canceled, are so bad, maybe everyone that watches AEW watches Dynamite. So they all voted for Dynamite, whereas the Raw and SmackDown was more spread out. So maybe if everyone was voting for one WWE show that were WWE fans, who knows? Again, I'm not a fan of any current wrestling shows. Match of the year, Will Ospreay versus Bryan Danielson. I would say the match of the year personally would have been the and I don't even like Cody Rhodes, but I would say Cody Rhodes against Roman Reigns just because the amount of stars they put in it last year by far. Will Ospreay versus Danielson again. It's not a match I would ever want to watch just because it's not my style of wrestling. MMA fight of the year, they say, was Max Holloway versus Justin Gaethje, April 13th in Las Vegas last year. They're saying now, the United States / Canada MVP are saying is Cody Rhodes. The Japanese MVP, Jack Sabre Jr. Now there is a completely unbelievable wrestler as far as cooperative looking stuff and unrealistic looking stuff. Japan is at its lowest wrestling popularity ever right now. And it's because they've gotten away from the Sheiks, the Abdullah the Butchers, the Funks, the Brodies, the Hansons. Now it's these small flippity wrestlers. And they wonder why they're in the shitter. They've already said they're not going to be doing 2 nights of Wrestle Kingdom this coming year because it was so bad this year. Didn't it? Like the attendance wasn't what it was going to be, what they were expecting. Mexico MVP Mystico. I'm not a fan of Mexican wrestling, but I hear a lot about Mystico, so I'm not going to argue with that. The Danny Hodge non-heavyweight MVP award goes to Darby Allin, who again, to me, He doesn't wrestle enough. He doesn't do enough. He wrestles too infrequently to like for anyone to really buy into. I mean, for an AEW guy that started in AEW, yes, he's one of their more popular guys, but to me, he's too off the radar. Can't get into him. He's too. I do respect him for the bumps he takes. I I think I would get along with him as a person. I've never met him, so I got nothing against him. I don't think if I was pushing him as hard as Khan was pushing him, I would use him a lot more. They use too many people that aren't over on their shows when they should be sticking to the people that are more over. That would be the one of the biggest things they could do to get their interest up. Women's wrestling MVP, Sari. I have no idea who that is. Rhea Ripley was number 2. Tony Storm was number 3. I'm not into the whole Tony Storm gimmick. Rhea Ripley, I would have put number 1. Women's MMA MVP, Zhang Weili. Very possible. I don't follow women's MMA. Feud of the year 2024, Punk versus McIntyre. That was one of the better feuds of 2024. The two that stand out to me are the Rhodes versus Reigns, which they built up well. And again, I don't even like Cody Rhodes, but I will admit when they build feuds well. And I don't even like Drew McIntyre. I won't argue with that. They have Rhodes versus the Bloodline listed as 3. Maybe that's the issue because I think a lot of people are bored of the whole Bloodline stuff at this point. But Rhodes versus Reigns itself was a popular one. MMA best box office draw they're saying is Alex Pereira. Pro wrestling they're saying it's Cody Rhodes. Well, Cody Rhodes his headline. I mean, if you want to, if you're going to go by numbers based on who actually headlines the events, yeah, say Cody Rhodes. But for instance, the Royal Rumble that just had a big crowd, a lot of people thought The Rock was going to appear. A lot of people thought Brock Lesnar was going to come back. Technically, yeah, okay, maybe Cody Rhodes was the top guy, but a lot of people were thinking much more stuff was going to happen on that show. So I'm not sure if you really want to say, I mean, I'm not going to argue with that. He headlined a lot of shows, but is he the actual top draw in wrestling? I wouldn't say so. I think more people would buy tickets to see The Rock or Brock Lesnar or Roman Reigns than Cody Rhodes. But he's one of the top. But he's definitely, I think he's lost a lot of interest since he won the title because he's had a very, like all of his title defenses have been predictable. I really hope Cena beats him for the title because I'm sick of him as champion. To me, Cody Rhodes is just like your corporate wrestler, your corporate yes man plain wrestler. I'm sorry if that offends you guys. I know he's got fans. I like Dusty Rhodes better than Cody Rhodes. I also like Goldust better than Cody Rhodes. And I don't like Dustin Rhodes as a person. He screwed me over as a promoter back in his drug use days. But like as much as I like Dusty Rhodes, I couldn't say Dusty Rhodes was never in like my top 10 favorite wrestlers. So maybe that's why I don't like Cody, but I also think Dusty had a lot more charisma than Cody. Most charismatic, The Rock. You got to agree with that one. And I'm not going to say the others because I don't agree with them. The Bryan Danielson Award for Best Technical Wrestler goes to Zack Sabre Jr. Now, as I said, Zack Sabre Jr., from what I've seen, he's not believable. But that's my opinion. Best Brawler, Adam Page. Never seen him brawl, so I couldn't tell you. Best flying wrestler, Will Ospreay. I'll give him that. He's a good flyer. I won't take that away from him. As far as being realistic, no. Most overrated, Nia Jax, number 1. Solo Sikoa, number 2. CM Punk, number 3. Chris Jericho, number 4. I would definitely put Jericho in an overrated category these days. To me, he tries, but he's freaking boring as hell these days. Jon Moxley, I would agree with that one. He's very overrated and overpaid. Mercedes Moné, number 8. MJF, number 9. I would agree with number 9. Jey Uso, number 10. I mean, these are all overrated wrestlers. Shadow Umina in there. I don't know who that is. Roman Reigns, I wouldn't say is overrated. They have him as number 7. CM Punk, number 3. I would say for today's wrestling, I wouldn't put CM Punk or Roman Reigns in overrated. They're 2 of the better overall wrestlers out there today. And I don't even really necessarily like CM Punk, or I didn't in the past. He's grown on me. But I would not put Punk or Reigns in the overrated category. The others would be in there for sure. Most underrated, they say Takashita. If you like Japanese wrestling, you would probably say that. Chad Gable. I would put Chad Gable in the overrated category. To me, he's boring as hell. 3, Beast Mordo. I'd put him in the overrated, but they're putting him in underrated. Commander, they're putting him in underrated. Adam Page, they're putting him in underrated. I don't know too much about Adam Page. But I would definitely, these people that they are saying underrated, I would say I hear too much about them. Best non-wrestler, Paul Heyman. The thing about Paul Heyman is, I don't know, he's overplayed at this point to me. But what's his competition? Don Callis, Prince Nina, Renee Paquette, MVP Nick Aldis, Key Matillo, Samantha Irving. Yeah, with that list, he is number 1. He is the best non-wrestler with that list. But none of those people I necessarily want to watch. Best TV announcer, they put Nigel McGuinness. Worst TV announcer, they put Booker T, Pat McAfee, and Jim Ross. Well, Jim Ross is apparently making a crap load of money. So good for him. They say the best major show was Sting's retirement, AEW Revolution last year in the Carolinas. They say the worst major wrestling show was AEW Triple Mania from Monterey last April. Most disgusting promotional tactic, they say, is WWE continued relationship with Saudi Arabia. Well, at this point, everybody's working with Saudi Arabia. As number 3, they put AEW airing the CM Punk security footage. That was pretty bad. There's a lot of stuff in here it's not even worth mentioning. Worst television show, they put AEW Rampage, which was canceled. Which AEW, I mean, look at all the stars they have. They did not give a damn about Rampage. To me, that they have all these big stars under contract and they didn't even try for Rampage. To me, that's terrible. If you're going to pay all these wrestlers all this money, use them. They had, like, for instance, Miro, who just left, he was making millions of dollars to sit at home. Why was he not on Rampage every week? Again, why do I get mad of it? It's their loss. They want to have shows canceled. Go ahead. NX and keep in mind, guys, Collision is getting similar ratings now to Wipeout, the TBS recently canceled. But WBD supposedly has some type of investment in AEW that might prevent Collision from getting canceled, but who knows if it keeps dropping. They put NXT number 2. They put NWA Power number 3. Put Raw number 4. Dynamite number 5. And again, this is their list from worst shows to best shows. Which again, I can't watch any of them, so I can't really comment on that. They're saying the worst match of the year was Jimmy Uso versus Jey Uso, April 6th from Philadelphia. Worst feud of the year, Adam Cole versus MJF, who they're paying millions to. I think they're paying Adam Cole millions too. Worst promotion of the year, they say NWA was the worst. AAA was second worst. Again, they say WWE was third worst. AEW, they say fourth worst. PFL fifth. GLEAT sixth. GCW seventh. MLW eighth. UFC 9. I don't know. I mean, I don't think many people can argue NWA has gone terrible. So no one can really argue with them as number one. But to say WWE is worse than MLW or PFL, I really would not say that. They say best booker number 1, Paul Levesque. Number 2, Tony Khan. Well, I'm not even a fan of Triple H's booking, but based on what's going on in all the promotions, I would even say that Tony Khan, I would say, is a horrible booker. I don't know anything about these other companies, but Tony, just look at Rampage. Look at all the people sitting at home not doing anything. Look at all the people paid to do nothing under contract. Look at the continuous fall of AEW. If you really want to tell me Tony Khan is the second best booker in wrestling, he could be. But that just tells you what the landscape of the business is like. Promoter of the year, Nick Khan from WWE. You got to agree with that. And here's something you really can't agree with. Tony Khan number 2, Dana White number 3. Okay, you're going to put Tony Khan as a better promoter than Dana White. There's where the credibility of this whole thing falls apart. Best gimmick, Tony Storm. Which, to me, I cannot stand that gimmick, but that's my personal view. They put Adam Page number 2. Okay, Adam Page and Tony Storm have the best gimmick. That's why they're so crazy over. They put The Rock as the number 4 best gimmick. I mean, I don't know. Worst gimmick, Chris Jericho's Learning Tree. That one was pretty bad. I'll agree with that. But I mean, clearly there's worse gimmicks than that. There's worse gimmicks that were so bad we don't hear about them anymore. This hologram gimmick is pretty bad that they've tried to push in AEW and hasn't gone anywhere. Best pro wrestling documentary. Okay, here's another one I don't agree with. Well, I will. Okay, Mr. McMahon, will we call this the best wrestling documentary? To me, it was too long and it went too much into wrestling, but I'll give him that. I mean, there's reasons why it could be. They put number 2 as Chris Colt, Dark Side of the Ring. That was one of the worst Dark Side of the Rings ever. Honestly, it really was. And it was it got really gross and disgusting, and it was really hard to watch. I would not say Chris Colt, Dark Side of the Ring was the second best wrestling documentary of the year. Definitely not. I mean, the Sherry one, which they list as number 4, was better than the Chris Colt by far. But again, I mean, this is apparently the readers voting on it. But to me, I'll 100% disagree with that Chris Colt documentary. That was freaking disgusting. Cobra Kai. I would rather watch Cobra Kai than wrestling. Hello, Mop Shop. We're all happy about Demolition. Twin City AEW is just, it gives you a headache. And again, I got no problem if wrestlers want to get paid millions, sure, great. But there's just so many wrestlers. We want to see them deserve it. Get us some of these ratings that show that you're worth these millions. Draw us some of these houses that show us you're worth $1 million. Wrestle enough to be like, okay, you're worth, like for Chris Jericho in AEW, hey, he's working hard. MJF, you wrestled 4 times last year. Supposedly he made at least 5 million. He's less over now than he was last year. These are just facts. I got nothing against them, but like their people are just spoiled. And I to me, Tony Khan is just one of the most wasteful people with money. What about fighting the Invisible Man? I mean, all this stuff turns people off of wrestling. People, this stuff might get hits, like the stuff with Jesus. I've seen, oh, there's a character playing Jesus that's doing all this magical stuff to wrestlers, or all these people dressing up in suits and doing goofy stuff. It just makes wrestling look goofy. And while those videos might get hits, it doesn't make people want to go out and buy tickets. And if there were a lot of people going out to buy tickets, trust me, WWE wouldn't have eliminated house shows, and AEW would be doing house shows. They stopped doing them because they're not profitable enough to make them worthwhile. Anyways, guys, you can't blame them for taking the money. No, you can't blame them. And I will admit, I am jealous as someone that works very, very, very hard for my money, and I paid a lot of dues as a wrestler. And I'm not just saying this; I'm better known than the majority of people on the AEW roster. I'm not kidding. As in the wrestling business, there's so many people that are in AEW and not known at all. So yeah, I'll be a bit jealous, but I'm not. What if the show was good? I would tell you. If there was a wrestler like CM Punk, he's grown on me. I would rather watch CM Punk these days than a lot of other stuff in wrestling. And I'm just saying that. If I thought Cody Rhodes was, I'd rather watch CM Punk than Cody Rhodes. That's just my opinion. I mean, I'm just telling you what I neutrally think about wrestling. What was the last good thing I saw in AEW? One of the last was when the Hardys reunited. It was that long ago that I saw it. Well, or Sting's retirement thing. It was good. They gave him a good send off. Anyways, guys, there you go. Let me know what you think of those awards.